when you work with your spouse, I feel like the way that we handle conflict, we have our personalities, right? So I'm more of the, I want to talk about it. He's more of the, I'm going to give you space and I'm going to go take my space over here away from you because you're being confrontational right now. Welcome to Keys and Chemistry, where love meets legacy and real life meets real estate.
I'm Steven.
And I'm Jessica. And together we're building more than just business. We're building a life, a family, and a legacy.
This podcast is about what it really takes to win together.
The conversations, the challenges, the growth, and the strategies behind building wealth and strong relationships.
Because who you build with matters.
Let's get into it. Everybody sees the wins, but they don't often know what it took to build this. When we met, we were young, fresh out of high school. I think it was the summer right after we graduated. I was in the process of getting ready to leave for college, and I met Steven, and it was I thought then it was bad timing, but when you look at bigger picture where we are now, it was perfect timing. I didn't want to go to college after I met him and we started hanging out. I wanted to stay at home, but he wasn't having that.
I mean, we were young, so I didn't want her to put her whole life on hold and not go to college, and then it didn't work out. Then you've been blaming, being mad at me. So go to college, and then if it's meant to be, it will be. And clearly it was.
Yeah, and that's kind of how we ended up here today. I graduated from college, came back home, and the rest was history. We got together and started to build our life. I realized that this was a long-term thing when everything just kind of fell into place the way it was supposed to, when it was supposed to. Coming back after all those years and still having the same feelings, it's okay. It was almost like we never skipped a beat. So I kind of knew for me, it was meant to be, especially with some past experiences and relationships. This just felt like home. And so that's how I knew that this is what was meant for me and where I was supposed to be at.
I knew it way back then. That's why I wanted her to go to college and do what she needed to do so we could both get whatever we needed to get out of the way, because I had a feeling that when we got together, that would be forever. I seen her mom a few times before I officially met her. She was scary. I don't remember. I think the first time I met, she just introduced me. Hey, that's my mom. Her mom kind of gave me a hi. And that was that. So I stayed out of her way. When I seen her, I spoke. And if I didn't see her, that was okay too.
I don't remember when I first met your mom for the first time. Your mom was always the homie. She was just always cool and full of energy. It didn't feel awkward meeting her because she was just super down to earth and a good time. So
she's a financial person, so I'd say anything that she wants to do, if we can maintain the way that we live now, meaning if I can still go buy my shoes and my hats and you not say nothing to me, then we could do it. So I'm still working on it, but I let her lead the way on that.
Yeah, I think early on when we got together, we kind of made a decision of I'll handle the finances, you go make the money, I'll manage it kind of thing. I feel like in relationships, everybody has their strengths, right? And so finances, I'm a loan officer, been in finance for a lot of years. It's just kind of my jam. And so I just automatically, organically took on that role. And Steven does all the guy stuff, handles the house stuff, the kids, all that kind of stuff. He takes care of that. And then I handle the financial aspect of our life. And so those are the roles that we just kind of organically took on when we got together, and it works. Honestly, I think it's a blessing to be able to build something together. I think early on, before Steven got into real estate, I was already in finance and I was already a lender. And I didn't feel like he understood the amount of hours I worked because he wasn't in the business. I always found myself working with other partners and it was cool. But then I'm we could be doing this together. And so I talked to Steven about the idea of, hey, have you ever thought about being a real estate agent? And that was his response, no. But he had that personality, I think, and that's what makes him so successful in his role is he's very easygoing. There's no pressure. He makes people feel really comfortable. And so I think that I saw those qualities in him and I'm you should be a real estate agent. And he didn't actually receive that suggestion right out of the gate, but thankfully he eventually did. What was that like for you when I brought that to you? What were you thinking?
Really, she didn't really say it like that. She told me I could be a stay-at-home dad. That offended me. What I heard was, you need a better job. So I was going to go be an electrician. Then she's like, you're gonna be getting shocked and gonna get old, your body's gonna be all burnt out. You don't wanna, you're not, so here, try this. I was reluctant, but I tried it. And during the journey, I found that I like to help people. So it worked out.
Because he's so passive, I didn't really know how he received it. And I am a controller. If you don't really know my personality, I like to control things. And so I'd be like, so how's that studying coming along? He wouldn't really talk to me much about where he was in the process. He just told me he was doing it. And so I didn't really know where he was in the process with the studying and taking the exam and things. And then he finally came to me. He's like, all right, I'm going to take the exam. And I got excited because I'm like, oh, we're doing this. We're really doing this, right? And so he actually went, you guys, and passed the test on the first shot. And if you really know what that real estate exam is like, I know a lot of people that had to take it multiple times, but he went and took it the first time. And that's when, for me, it was like a proud moment. Like, he's my husband, and I was just proud of him because it just showed me another side of him when he sets his mind to something. He's not one to talk about it a whole lot. He just goes and executes. And so I was like, ooh, I see you, so that was pretty cool to celebrate that milestone with him. And how did it feel for you when you passed the test?
It felt good when I passed it, but just going into it, I think I passed the first time because the word test scares me. So I probably went to the place probably like an hour early, and I just sat there on all the stuff that was giving me trouble. When I passed it, it was a big relief, like a weight been lifted off my shoulders. I passed it, and then I can go home and tell her that I passed it. So
that was an amazing moment. When you work with your spouse, I feel like the way that we handle conflict, we have our personalities, right? So I'm more of the, I want to talk about it. He's more of the, I'm going to give you space and I'm going to go take my space over here away from you because you're being confrontational right now. So I think that's how we kind of handle conflict, or I like to talk about it because I want to get my emotions out to make sure that you understand how I feel and why I feel that way, whereas he probably is complete opposite.
I don't want to talk about it. I heard what you said. I move accordingly, moving forward. What else is there to talk about?
See, complete opposites. We're just different like that. But that's what makes it work.
The biggest disagreement, I think, is me not telling her things that I think she doesn't need to know, but she feels she does. And so it's not necessarily me trying to keep things away from her. I just didn't think it was a you need to know basis, so I didn't say anything. And then when she hears about it or finds out that it's the big deal.
I would agree. I think that's one of those aspects of we're in relationship. So you don't need to know about this part of the transaction. It's good. Versus if it was someone that I'm not in a relationship with, they kind of over communicate. And so I think that when you're in a relationship, it's like, you got it. So you don't necessarily communicate the way you would if it was someone you didn't have a relationship with. So I think I would agree with you on that. But yeah, I think that is the biggest struggle, but I don't know that it's really a struggle, but it's the most had conversation. I think the best thing about us working collaboratively as a team and in the same industry is I feel like he understands the work ethic. I think now that he's a successful real estate agent, he understands those work hours, how it doesn't really shut off. And so I think there's a different level of admiration there now in the relationship, whereas before he entered the business, he didn't really understand the concept of just because it's 5 or 6 o'clock, work shuts down, because it's just not that sort of industry. So I think it's actually helped tremendously. And then seeing him grind in the same way, right? I think that that's amazing. But for me, I think my favorite part of us doing this together is our kids get to see it. They get to see mom and dad building something in unity together. Even when Steven goes out to show houses, sometimes he'll take the kids with him. And now my son talks like a little real estate agent. And so I think it's like, for me as a parent, as a mom, it makes my heart happy to have a husband who's a professional, who's thriving. And then to look at my sons and my daughter, have a male figure that they can look up to, and create something that could be passed down in our family for generations to come. This could really be a family business, and our kids seem to love it too. So I love that aspect of it.
For me, it's the fact that we're changing people's lives in a big way and we're doing it together. And the fact that our kids get to watch us do it. That's pretty cool. 10, 7, and 4. But hold on, I got to tell you the birthdays because they're almost exactly 3 years apart. September 2nd, September 25th, and October 26th.
You can tell we're in the mortgage industry because there's an off season, right? So all our kids are like created the same time of year. But yeah, I get the birthdays mixed up. He is super dad because he knows everything with the kids and what's going on. I have a struggle sometimes keeping up, but the birthdays confuse me because they're so close together. But I think I've mastered it now. So Carter is our youngest. He's 4. Layla, she's the middle child, the only girl, she's 7. And then Jacob is our firstborn and oldest, and he's 10. So they're literally they're all 3 years apart. The things that I took from my parents that I want to instill in my kids, or that we are instilling in our children, is working hard, work ethic, and being the best at whatever it is you choose to do. I think those are the big things for me. My parents did not come from real estate background at all. My dad worked for Alaskan Copper, and my mom worked at the University of Washington School of Dentistry for over 30 years. So real estate was not in the background. Back in the day when she was younger, she worked at a bank, but she didn't continue that path. You know, dentistry was her path. So nothing to do with real estate.
Mom, she would say she was like one of those, the hotel maid, the cleaner upper person. So that's what she did. And then dad, I couldn't tell you.
All right, it's time for the key and the chemistry. The key, communication isn't optional, it's the foundation.
The chemistry, I appreciate how you always push us to grow, even when it's uncomfortable. If this episode added value, make sure you share it with someone who is building something bigger.
And don't forget, it all starts with the right strategy and the right team. Because who you build with matters. This is Keys and Chemistry, and we'll see you next episode.